Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
Tell me Kumo D can. You know I can. Tell me Special K can. You know I can. Tell me Sunshine can. You know I can. Come on everybody, we know you can.
What's up, y'all? This is Tim Heinekel with The Library. Check us out on www.rapstation.com. Also, we're airing on Andy Don't Stop with Chuck D. This week, I had the opportunity to interview L.A. Sunshine of the Treacherous Three on his new book, L.A. Sunshine's Memoir, A True Story, The Real Accounts. Cop L.A. Sunshine's new book on truehiphopmemoirs.com via PayPal. L.A. Sunshine of Treacherous Three, thanks so much for joining us on at the Library with Tim Heinekel on Andy Don't Stop with Chuck D.
Yeah, that's me, man, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so I just want to get right into your book, L.A. Sunshine, A True Story, The Real Accounts. You start off right off the bat with this sexual experience you had as a 7-year-old as your babysitter watched.
Yeah.
You say this experience shaped how you dealt with trust, women, and intimate relationships for the rest of your life. Was this story for you as you were writing it? Like, how tough was it to share, and that knowing full well that I was going to go public?
Well, anybody that really knows me know I have no problem, expressing myself. I wear my, all of my feelings on my sleeves. Anybody that really knows me well knows that I got no problem just, being very open, candid, and aside from that, it was just very therapeutic. Became once you started getting into writing. When I made up my mind to embark on this journey, tell a story. I think it's important that everybody tells a story initially, first of all. But telling mine, I realized early on in the process that it would be better served if I just opened up fully and tell everything for myself. And that was the purpose of me doing it, and that's why it's so easy. Anybody that knows me knows I'm being open and candid. That comes relatively easy. But if there are details such as that were unbeknownst to just about anybody, but I had no problem sharing it.
And you talk about how, like I mentioned, you talked about how this was, this kind of shaped your life dealing with intimate, with trust, intimate relationships and stuff. So I was wondering, can you talk about a time as an adult where this kind of experience messed up like a great situation for you?
I mean, well, actually, I've always had a trust issue with women because of that, subconsciously, and I didn't realize it until much later on that was the cause of it. I had a major trust issue. I mean, it's hard for me to trust women in that regard, of course, because of some other relationships that I've had that, I've been through and I have failed because of a multitude of, different circumstances. But collectively, I have a problem with trust in women in general.
And I want to branch out to, and this is not a relationship with a woman, but this is actually a relationship that you had with, a professional relationship you had with one of the original members of the Treacherous Three, Spoonie G. Can you just talk about that time where, there was that falling out? It's on page 73 of the book, but kind of wanting to know, can you just tell that story to the audience? What happened?
Well, I think you're referring to the time when, Spoonie would, Spoonie on more than one occasion would kind of left the group. Initially, we would, of course, the original members of the group was Spoonie G, Kumo D, and myself. And when Spoonie had the opportunity to go and make the record, I was just disappointed because that was an opportunity for us to make an impact or just make, put a print on this new merging, culture, this art form. And we were some of the higher, we were cut from the higher echelon at the time, even though it was very, very early in the game. And I thought we could have, made some steps or made some real moves because Spoonie put out Spoon and Rap right after Sugar Hill, and had we gone on and did some real lyrical damage that we're known for, I thought that was a golden opportunity for us to make some haste. And not only that, I also thought that, this is a brotherhood. This is family. We don't do like that. If he had intentions on doing that, he should at least, made us aware of it as opposed to just bringing it to, the rehearsal spot. We was rehearsing at my DJ's house, and, he came in and was like, yo, I got to surprise you guys, and he just put the record on and played boom, 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 boom.
You say a one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, y'all, let's rock the... yes, y'all. A freak, y'all. A funky beat, y'all. And then you rock and roll, and then you roll and rock, and then you rock to the beat that just don't want you to stop. Cause I'm the S to the B, double O and Y. The one MC who you can't deny. Cause I'm the baby maker, I'm the woman taker, I'm the...
And, the record is hot, and the record is a real good record, but I'm like, I didn't know how I was feeling. I didn't know how to feel. I was caught between emotions. I was happy for him, but at the same time, like, how could you backstab us like that? Because we're a group. If we're a group, we're supposed to do the record together. And, share the information and discuss it and see how we're going to do it. And he did that on more than one occasion. So that's where the problem we had. I had this one. This is my brother. I love him to death, man. But, I just think that should have been dealt with a different way.
Right. And at the time, did the other members of the group feel the same exact way, or was that just not spoken about?
It was not received well, but nobody was like, ain't nobody give him the business or curse him out or nothing like that. Everybody was happy for him. I think I was the only one that was really just majorly disappointed. I was kind of furious at the time because of the initial shock. I'm like, what you mean you got a record? This is what we're aspiring to do, to get a record. This is our tour, and we're a group. We're supposed to have a record. And you went on and did a record, and not to mention you got a record, and you leaving the group. That puts the group in disarray, and then we got to shuffle around, even though it all turned out for the better because it turned into the Treacherous Three that's known widely as, me, Mo, and Special K.
And I want to actually go into one of the first songs that you guys did, the New Rap Language.
We rock and don't stop. Well, it's the super cat, the fatalistic, and theological, rhythm, stranger, chat, no bag of tricks. This is the way we get our kick. We're qualifying, rectifying, rocking till the day we're dying. Every time you're screaming, crying, we're here with no denying. We hold our honor and our pride. Just take the steps to keep it stride. Set down rules, you will abide. We're going to take you for a ride. Before we rock and that's some fun, let's introduce us one by one. I'm Special K, I'm on display, I rock the pulse of USA. And lay some shine, I rock your mind, I do it to you every time. Remember me, MC Mo D, the man that's at the T.O.P. A Spoonie G, as you can see, I rock the West Society. And at the end, you will agree, nobody rock a mic like me. But Special K says I'm on D, you add us up with legal 3. And on the mic, we turn it out, your latest mic without a doubt. And if you don't believe it, shoot it, check out how we rock for you. And if you don't believe it, shoot it, check out how we rock for you. And if you don't believe it, shoot it, check out how we rock for you.
When I first heard it, because I was just messing around and going back to listening to your music, I was actually extremely blown away by the whole song. Like okay. I mean, just as I'm a little younger, so I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up listening in 1980, but but grew up more in the mid 80s to 90s. But when I first heard it, like every part of the song, I heard an artist that I grew up on. Like I heard Cool G Rap and all that. I heard where speed rap came from. So I was like, right. I was so I wanted someone to know, like, I would love for you just to talk about the song and how making of the song and like what was the inspiration behind it.
Well, that was one of our staples. Of course, again, back in the day, the early infancy stages of emergence of the game, we were known for pushing the bar. We were always heightening the bar, raising the bar. And it was something that Moby came up with, taking a dump actually, just coming up with speed rapping, and we all just fell in line with it. Actually, Mo and K, me and Mo D, we used to do them, back and forth together when we were doing them, throughout the parks and stuff. And then he was going to school with K. He did it, and Mo D did it in the lunchroom. And the next day, K came back and he had one. So, when K got down, we just became widely known for doing the speed rapping, and that was our staple. So when we had the opportunity to record, we was like, okay, now let's really hit them in the head. Honestly, I think it was way before its time because people were still beginning to just dabble in it. Hip hop was always party friendly. I think the routine is party friendly, but it didn't transfer as a record to be. It wasn't record friendly per se, but lyrically, it was. We raised the bar with that. But that was just our mainstay. That was our staple. It definitely raised notice of for us to come out the gate with that. For people that didn't know nothing about the Treacherous Three or Spoonie G and the Treacherous Three, it was like, wow, well, who's these guys?
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually want to go into another song. And in the book, you describe the song Body Rock as, you say, your first quote-unquote real song. Can you kind of explain what you meant by that?
Well, if you look at the new rap language, which is the fast rapping, Joe, we just said fast rhymes. That's what we call them. We all just said fast rhymes straight through it. There was no song structure. It wasn't a beginning, a middle, and an end. It was just start the track. We're going to run through the track, and when the track run out, that's when we're going to stop.
Right.
We did this with At the Party, which came out with Body Rock separately. We released two songs at the same time. That was another staple of ours for putting out two songs simultaneously. At the Party was primarily a bunch of our party routines, stuff that we would perform at parties, put together. Like there was a bunch of different routines that we just made and said, okay, we're going to put these on the record, and that's why we named it At the Party. But when we did the Body Rock, we sat down and, consciously made up a song, a beginning, an intro, middle, and end. The way we formatted it, okay, we all say rhymes. At this point, we have a chorus. There's a break. There's a bridge. All of those things. We went consciously into creating that and making it a song.
We got something new. We got something new. Well, if you rate it like you ate it, like a movie review. You see, we get 5 stars for each of us. So let us tell you the deal, because it is a must. Well, I'm the number one ace. Face in the face. I'm the case in the place. When set, hey, and I'm the number one dude. Don't do what the you said. I got more rhymes than mother do. Well, I'm the number one trade. Here to stay. Yes, to say the winner play all the way until the break of day.
I was just wondering, you've obviously you guys had a long career, and you had a lot of time to think about this. Do you have in all the stuff that you've done, do you have a favorite verse?
That's a good question. For me, you mean for me specifically?
Yeah, something that you've written, and I would say even something that someone else has written.
And I wrote all my stuff. That's verse.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
No, I never. If I had to pick something, even though this question was never posed to me and I never really given no real serious thought, it was something that we did on the Reunion album. I think it was '94 with Ichiban, and it was on the record that we did on the collab record with Melly Mel, Chuck, Hev, God bless him, Tito from the Fearless, Big Daddy Kane, and Grandmaster Caz. And I just said a little verse on that. That's just, I think, that's something that's one of my favorites.
Oh, cool. And I want to, we're speaking with LA Sunshine from Treacherous Three. I want to go back to the book. You really lay, like in the beginning of the interview, you really lay it all out on the book, and you kind of detail your drug use, your depression, etc. Mm-hmm. So I was just wondering, why now? Why did you decide to open up now?
Again, I think it's imperative that everybody tells their story, because I think everybody's got a story to tell. But for me, it was a purging. It was totally therapeutic for me. I know I'm misunderstood, and I've always been, but I didn't do it for outward reasons. I did it for myself specifically, and I did it for me to help cleanse and purge myself. It wasn't like I was trying to all of a sudden divulge some information. I needed to release it. I needed to get it out of me so I can begin to deal with it. Right. Because I still deal with these issues to this day. I'm not ashamed to say that. But prior to me writing the book and, years gone by, I didn't know what I was dealing with. I just knew I was always depressed. Didn't give it to, a second thought or even try to break it down or analyze it or, anything like that. I had suicidal thoughts all my life. I tried to kill myself 3 times. These are things that I've lived with. But as I began to put the story down, it just felt like a release. It felt good. It was just purging and so energetic and rejuvenating that I was like, okay, this is easier for me. And I didn't intend to do it let me tell my story so people can understand me. I did it so I can get the release out.
Oh, interesting. Out of everything that's happened in your life, personally, what has been your darkest day, and professionally, what has been your darkest day?
Well, my darkest day was when I had to shoot somebody. Because anybody that knows me, again, I'm a wuss, man. Just the way I'm built. My makeup is like I just get mad when I see people arguing and fighting, man. Even though it sounds corny and like you want to play violins and stuff, but man, I just truly believe in harmony, man, and it doesn't exist for the most part. So it kind of bothers me, and to look back on that, knowing that I was so close to going on to that side of the street, even though I did it out of necessity, because I think my life was at stake. But that just shows how deep into the pit, into the trenches I was, because I would never even be caught in that position or even carrying a weapon or whatever. But my life was at stake, so I was like, okay, I got to do this just for to maintain food.
Right. Right, of course.
Stay alive, And professionally, oh boy, so many. I think, and this might sound really crazy, but collectively, my career was dark for me. Even though I enjoy performing, because I do probably more than anything else, I get more gratification. I'm more satisfied and gratified out of performing on stage. But with that said, the majority of the business part of it always comes into play. You have to get off stage and you have to go deal with the business aspect of it. And the business is so crappy. The business is so shady. It's so uninviting. And I learned that really, really early on, and I was never able to shake it. Like, I'd have a happy moment, but then I turns into darkness. Like, for example, okay, we make a hot record. We lay it down. We get it out. It's on the radio. It's moving and it's doing well. But then the business comes in when it's time to get paid for it. We don't get a dime.
Right.
And that happened repeatedly. It's always, I've learned to always wait for the other shoe to drop. So, that kept me in darkness, per se. Even though I learned over the years to take the good with the bad. But, to answer the question, what was my darkest moment? Was a lot of them.
Is there anything you regret that's in the book that you, after print, you wanted to take out? Or
Nah, not at all. No. Because all of that came from, you start telling a story and it just opens up another lane and another lane and another lane and another lane, because one story leads to another. Because initially, when you're thinking back on all of that stuff, it's not like it's sitting dead in the front of my brain.
Right.
There's a lot of that stuff. The depression and, the darkness that I've carried with me all that time was there. It stayed. It was always in the forefront. But one thing always led to another. Like, I talk about my mom, and I talk about my brother Sire dying, and then that would lead to, my brothers, and then would lead to a situation with my brother and his friends when he was, it just was a ripple effect.
So, it seems I think it's true for anything, but when you write things down, everything becomes more real.
Yes, and that's exactly what it's a very good way of saying, because it was much easier for me to deal with. And I wasn't aware of that until I actually began the process. And once I began the process, I'm like, oh no, this is great for me. This is the new drug right here.
Right. I was just curious. Did you come up with the idea for the book, or was it like a friend or?
No, it was me. I've always aspired to do it, and I did it with Dutch, Lucille Dutch. You know what I'm saying? And he just happened to be an author of some other material that he'd done earlier, and I mentioned it to him. He's like, well, no, we can start this process, because I didn't know anything about it. I just knew about, okay, I want to tell my story. Get on the computer and start typing some stuff. And him being tapped into what that business and that process entails, flipped it, and so just adding that little Dutch flavor to it, lends itself immensely.
I want to kind of shift gears. Do you listen to new school stuff, or are you more into old school still?
And without, at the risk of being considered old school mad rapper, no, I don't. But not. This is a good reason as well, but it's not solely because I don't appreciate what it stands for. Because the ceiling is lower. Anybody know me again? I'm not into yelling and bitching and fucking and fighting and killing and just mad. How the record start off and you say, these niggas don't know. How the record start like that? What you talking about?
Who you talking to?
Yeah, what I do to you? The record ain't started yet. That coupled with having to sift through 8 to 10 bad songs to hear one or two good ones, I'm not willing to compromise. Now, that may be a loss on my part, and I'm willing to accept that. that coupled with the fact that all my musical preference has always been old school R&B. I used to get flack from the group, when we be riding or we touring or we, doing something, and somebody would be listening to music coming out of my bunk or, out of my headphones or something, and they'll hear the OJs or Blue Magic or even Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles or something, and they'd be like, yo, man, LA playing this bullshit, man. We want to hear KRS-One, we want to hear some Chuck. But I've always been built like that. I've always been, my musical preference has always been old school, smooth R&B. I have an appreciation for hip-hop, but it's very, very selective. And yes, it does date. It is dated.
Do you think, I just care, do you think old school, when we look back at old school hip-hop, do you think we romanticize it a little too much?
Nah, not at all. Nah, I think it's underappreciated, to be honest. And everybody is stuck in their era at some point or another. So, to some degree or another. And I say that because everybody's, for example, old school is different for different generations. Because you could talk to a cat that's 25, 26 years old, and his old school is 5, 6 years ago. Or Snoop could be considered old school now.
Yeah.
Snoop is nowhere near old school. If you're talking to somebody cut from my cloth. So with that in mind, I don't think you romanticize about it. Everybody is stuck in their era, justifiably so, because you only know what you know. But I just happen to know, my history precedes most cats. So, that is what it is. But no, I don't romanticize about it like that. I think it warrants more credibility than it actually receives. I think it doesn't get its just dessert because, we can get on the milk crate and say that if you don't acknowledge it, it's not going to, it's going to fall by the wayside, and I think that's imperative that, it's recognized to its fullest and get its just dessert. That's why you have as many, that's why you don't get, you get as many mad rappers or people that just disgruntled because none of them get what they actually deserve, from it. And the ones that haven't, that's all they have to cling to. So in that regard, yeah, people romanticize about it because that's all they have.
And this will be my last question, and I have to ask this because one of the other hosts on the show, Flatline, he does a show called Hip Hop Gods, brought this to my attention, and he was actually curious. He actually wants to know what was it like recording Sticks and Stones, which featured on the De La Soul promo only Clear Lake Auditorium. I
felt it was a privilege because I felt it was a compliment. Because when Prince Paul contacted me, he was like, yo, we want to do some stuff and pay homage to some of the old guys, and get some guys together. And it wound up being Tito, myself, Kaz, and Whip. But sadly, I was in such a dark space. I was homeless at the time. I was unable to enjoy it to the fullest. I am, I love doing the project, but I wish I was able to appreciate it to its fullest the way I did. I was like, okay, nah, I was pretty much a robot going on fumes. Like, okay, give me, I'll pay, okay, write the track and write the record and just go, and that's something that I feel somewhat bad about. That was an opportunity missed. I could have soaked that in more, but I wasn't able to because I was just in such a dark space. I was a zombie, a robot, a druggie, a homeless, and contemplating suicide still. So, yeah, that was a rough time.
I know it's been a while since the last time you've heard at least sunshine, pick up a microphone and rhyme. But now I think it's time to go for mine. So you can sit back, relax, just max and unwind. Because it's time for me to put a few heads to bed. Because I'm upset at what somebody said. I've heard through the grapevine, it's been said that sunshine can't rhyme. That's the funniest line that I've heard in a long time. The wannabe me that say I sound off beat. I'm not off beat. I'm totally unique and it sounds real sweet. So if you're ready, get set for a trip to the sun. You'll be guided, and I decided to be the one to take total control of the soul. Young or old, be bold, because it's a sight to behold.
Do you want to listen to your old stuff because you know the dark place because you don't want to remind yourself of the dark place you?
It depends on what state of mind I am because there's still more than one person in me. So, whatever one comes to the surface, sometimes when I'm, I use it as a motivating tool. When I want to get up and get amped, sometimes it works, but sometimes, I can do the same thing and listen to the stylistics, and it serves the same purpose.
Right, of course.
So, it's just depending on what my music preference is. But I don't have a problem listening to it. I listen to it, and for the most part, when I do, it doesn't put me in a dark space because I have my days where I have to deal with that. But for the most part, I learned how to deal with my depression and, all of those issues. And I learned that it's a day-to-day process, and you take one day at a time.
The name of the book is A True Story, The Real Accounts. L.A. Sunshine is the author. L.A. Sunshine, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
That was L.A. Sunshine of the Treacherous Three on The Library with Tim Einenkel. Cop L.A. Sunshine's new book on truehiphopmemoirs.com via PayPal. Check me out on Twitter. That's at kosher22. Also, you could check out extended versions of my interviews. If you go to iTunes, just type in The Library with Tim Einenkel. That's EINENKEL. Peace.
Yes, for real, we all the dealing, no the